Welcome into Hour 2 of America's Forum. Despite that federal judge in Texas ruling to block the president's amnesty plans, the Obama administration is still moving forward, according to the Washington Times, is, quote, still rushing ahead, end quote, with contracts with firms to process those illegals. Many in Washington, including the junior senator from Texas, and quite frankly, possibly a 2016 presidential candidate, Ted Cruz, vehemently opposing the plan. Our own John Bachman had the chance to sit down for an exclusive interview over the weekend with the senator and talk about that topic and some other hot-button issues.
Yeah, JD, if we're going to talk about 2016 with Ted Cruz, he is going to be focused first on this week of 2015. It could be the week that Ted Cruz needs. If he is planning on running for the presidency, he'll need to break out of the pack that he's in right now. Real Clear Politics composite poll has him sitting at about 5%. Jeb Bush and Mike Huckabee are at about 14 and 12% respectively. Scott Walker clocks in at about 9%. Now, those numbers may change this week with two federal checks and balance battles playing out on Capitol Hill, both dealing with immigration. And it's Senator Ted Cruz who claims he's ready to take the lead on blocking the nomination of Loretta Lynch, the president's pick to be the next attorney general. Cruz says she is actually worse than Eric Holder on these immigration issues. But first, we'll hear about Cruz's plans to block the president's executive orders, starting with what the Senate needs to do when they get back in session this week and what's changed since last week.
We need to vote to fund the Department of Homeland Security. At a time of growing risk, growing peril at home and abroad, I think it is reckless and irresponsible for Democrats to be filibustering funding for the Department of Homeland Security, and we need to honor the commitments we made to stop the president's illegal and unconstitutional amnesty.
Since the Senate has voted 3 times to do that, and they haven't got the 60 votes needed to move forward, what do you think will change this week?
Well, we had a very significant development this week in that a federal district court struck down the president's executive amnesty.
So you think that's enough to spur on maybe a few more Democrats to see the light?
Well, you know, it puts Democrats in a very difficult position. If you're a Democrat, how exactly do you tell your constituents you are blocking any funding for the Department of Homeland Security in order to defend an amnesty program that the federal courts have now declared to be illegal? I mean that really is an extreme and untenable position. And it seems to me we ought to call on the Democrats to stop being partisan.
The president said that he was confident that the Court of Appeals would see things his way. Do you think he really believes that, or is that just bluster?
It's entirely bluster, and you know, I will point to no higher legal authority than a person who described himself as a constitutional scholar, and his name was Barack Obama, who 22 times President Obama said he did not have the legal authority to unilaterally grant amnesty. Over and over again, he said, I don't have the power. In fact, he said, this is not a monarchy. That's how he explained why he couldn't do this. And then after the election, voila. Magically, he claims he has the power. He ignores his previous 22 statements. Now, before the election, this was not a monarchy. Apparently, after the election, using President Obama's own terms, this is a monarchy.
Well, after the bipartisan Gang of 8 immigration bill failed, you know, he was saying those things obviously because they were trying to cobble together this arrangement with John Boehner and everything. That may have been what had changed here. He said Congress had an opportunity to do something about this. They failed to get something done. Now I have to act.
As I understand that the president is frustrated that Congress doesn't roll over and adopt every single policy he would like. But our system is designed to have checks and balances. The way it works, you have to compromise. You have to reach middle ground. But President Obama does not believe in compromise ever under any circumstances. So his view on immigration is he decrees to Congress, pass my policies. Now, mind you, they're bad policies that don't secure the border and that make the problem of illegal immigration worse, that undermine the rule of law with amnesty, and that are contrary to what the American people want. And the elected body of the people, the Congress, said no. Now, if someone's working under the Constitution, they say, okay, let's see if we can come together and compromise. This president doesn't do that. Instead, what he does is just decree his policy shall be followed regardless. And I'll tell you, I think it is very dangerous from the perspective of anyone who loves liberty, anyone who believes in rule of law. If a president has the power to unilaterally make the law, to change the law, or ignore the law, then he is no longer a president.
We have this ruling now from this Texas judge those 5 million people that the president wanted to keep here in this country for 3 years longer, what do you think should happen to them now while this is in jeopardy?
What happens now is ordinary federal law is followed. If people have broken the law and come here illegally, it is contrary to federal law for them to remain here legally and work legally.
So you have it. Sounds familiar, like somebody I know.
Sounds good to me.
Folks, that's what he says. And we'll also talk to him about specifically why he thinks Loretta Lynch is worse than Eric Holder on this issue and others when we come back.
And that is coming right up, so you stay with us. John Bogman will be here. You stay too. With John Bogman, J.D. Hayworth back on America's Forum, we might call this portion of Hour 2 Cruise Control, C-R-U-Z, as in Senator Ted Cruz.
He's gearing up for something, J.D. We talked about this battle over DHS. He wants to be out in front. He says voters are ultimately going to decide in 2016 who's leading on these issues, not so much about what the poll numbers say. We'll get to that in just a moment. We talked about the Homeland Security issue. Let's talk about his blocking of Loretta Lynch to be the president's next attorney general. I asked Senator Cruz why he was going to block her confirmation with his vote. It may not happen, but he said, or was I asking if it's just about her support of the president's executive orders on immigration? Here's what he had to say.
No, it's far broader than that. Ms. Lynch has had a distinguished career as a U.S. attorney. And when I came into the hearing, I wanted to be able to support her. I was hoping we would see a new attorney general who would follow the law, who would be faithful to the Constitution, and who would not continue in the tradition of Eric Holder. Eric Holder has been the most partisan attorney general we've ever seen. Unfortunately, Ms. Lynch, in the entire course of the hearing, refused to acknowledge a single limit on the president's authority under the Constitution. When I asked her in what ways she would differ from Eric Holder, she said no ways whatsoever.
Do you think she would be worse than Eric Holder? Because that's essentially the choice you have now. If you stand in the way of her nomination, then you're left with Eric Holder.
Yes, I think she'd be materially worse, and let me tell you why. Holder, after he was confirmed, began disregarding the law, began ignoring the Constitution, began turning the Department of Justice into a partisan arm of the DNC. The difference is Ms. Lynch is telling us she's going to do that. She's sitting in the hearing saying, no, I will not uphold any limit on the authority of the president. She's sitting in the hearing saying, yes, I will facilitate and implement President Obama's lawlessness, his refusal to obey federal law or the Constitution. And if the Senate confirms her, we are complicit in it. And then let me tell you, John, Republicans have a majority. We have the ability to defeat this nomination, and there are two ways to do so. Mm-hmm. Number one, if every Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee simply votes no.
And you think that's going to happen?
The nomination is dead. Well, right now, a couple of the senators have indicated they intend to vote yes.
I mean, you see Lindsey Graham nodding his head when she gives her response, almost in agreement with everything she's saying.
In my view, any senator who votes to confirm a nominee for Attorney General who tells you, Senator, I am going to ignore the law and ignore the Constitution, that senator is complicit in what happens. The first thing we ought to do is every Republican on the committee ought to vote no and her nomination be voted down. But secondly, even if the committee votes on her nomination, leadership has the authority simply not to report the nomination to the floor. And if it gets to the floor, she will be confirmed. So the entire question is, does leadership choose to bring it to the floor? If leadership brings it to the floor, the Republican Senate will have put in place an attorney general who will continue the lawlessness and abuse of power of President Obama. I think that would be a travesty. I think it'd be an abdication of our responsibility. I certainly hope we don't do that.
And what has the response been from Leader McConnell's office been on that?
I think it would be fair to say less than enthusiasm.
Now, in terms of what we've seen this past week in Libya, obviously ISIS has, an affiliate there and a beachhead. Do you support expanding the current campaign, the airstrike campaign that we've seen in Iraq and Syria, into Libya?
Look, I think our objective should be to destroy ISIS.
Whatever it takes.
Wherever they may be found. One of the unfortunate consequences of the Obama presidency is radical Islam is on the rise. It's on the rise all over the world. It's on the rise with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. It's on the rise with ISIS. It's on the rise with Boko Haram, kidnapping schoolgirls. It's on the rise with the Taliban in Pakistan, murdering school children. All over the globe, we see radical Islam on the rise, and the reason is simple. It's because America has receded. Just about every single ally, what they say when you meet with them, particularly in private, is they grab you by the shoulder and they say, where is America?
There you have it. Cruz is talking about a recent global security conference he attended in Munich. That need for the United States to still be there is exemplified by the current situation with ISIS.
Well, we know you are going to be here throughout the day
Yes.
with more of the interview coming up on Midpoint with Ed Berliner. You really get down to brass tacks with Senator Cruz about the prospect of running for the presidency.
Yeah, we mentioned those poll numbers at the onset. Let's take a look real quick again. Cruz trailing now some of the bigger names we've heard as mentioned as frontrunners, even though, JD, we know the race hasn't officially started yet. And we talked about these numbers, and he admits that he is paying close attention, but I said, what is going to make those numbers change, or what does that mean for you? And he says, look, I think the Republican Party, the voters, are looking for someone who's going to lead on these issues. Are they leading on things like the purse strings of Congress? Are they holding the president's feet to the fire when it comes to this immigration reform issue, the attorney general? So those two key issues are definitely going to play for Cruz here this week, and he's hoping that he can ride that and to some of these more conservative states and get his name out higher in the pack of people mentioned for 2016.
It is worth noting, 2 weeks ago, he specifically turned down the chance to endorse getting rid of the filibuster rule. Now, even establishment figures like Charles Krauthammer have said, you got to get rid of that filibuster rule, but Cruz apparently believes that they can still get things done in the Senate to stop the funding of the immigration component of the Department of Homeland Security. John, we thank you very much. Coming up next, John Fund to talk about that dinner with Rudy Giuliani.